Hi, today we're looking at number cross, which is a mathematical-based logic puzzle. We're going to look at how the puzzle is played, the objective, the rules, how you go about solving it, and also how you can use our special number cross calculator to help you. So we're playing a one-star puzzle here, a starter puzzle, just to get you acquainted with the objective and the rules. It's a really simple one. Puzzle is played on the square grid, filled with numbers on the inside, and also extra set of numbers on the outside. The outside numbers are our target numbers, and we need to use the inside numbers to add up to reach the target number based on column and row. So, for example, in this row, we need to use certain numbers to add up to a sum of 18. And we do that by crossing out numbers that we don't want, leaving only the numbers we do want. So the numbers that are remaining should add up to the clue number of 18. And the same in columns. So here we have a column with a target number of 13. We need to cross out sufficient digits in this column so that those remaining add up to the target sum of 13. Again, this is a fairly simple puzzle. We're using relatively small target numbers and clue numbers only as far as 9. Larger puzzles have bigger numbers inside, bigger target numbers, and indeed some larger and more difficult puzzles remove the target numbers from some of the rows and columns altogether, making it more difficult. But this is an easy one just to get us eased into the puzzle. So an easy place to start on a grid like this is to look for numbers that we can discount immediately because they are larger than the target number. So if we start by flipping down the rows, we can immediately see that on this row where we're looking for a target of 7, using these numbers here, well, we have an 8 here. 8 is big as a 7, so cannot possibly form any part of a sum that would add out to 7. So we can cross that one out now. You'll see that I'm not crossing out the 7 because we could just have the 7 on its own. That would be a valid way of reaching the target of 7, so that's a valid option. We can do the same thing on a couple of these columns. We've got this column of 7 here. Well, clearly we can't use a 9 to reach a target of 7, so we can cross that out. And got the same thing going on in the last column, which has a target of 5. Again, we put a 9 here, which is as big as a 5, so cannot be part of the sum. That's the easy wins out of the way. Pretty easy targets. Next, I'm going to start working my way down the puzzle again looking at the rows first, and then we'll do columns afterwards. And row by row, what we now need to look at is what digits can we use to reach our target sum, in this case 18 for the first row, and what digits can we definitely not use, those we can discount, and in some places there may be digits that we absolutely have to use to reach our target sum. For example, we could reach 18 by adding up the 2 5s, the 7 and the 1. That would give us 18. We could also do a 7 and a 3 plus a 5 and a 3. That's another way of reaching 18. There's probably other combinations as well, but I don't need to worry about those for the moment because we've already determined that we can use any of those digits on that row to reach our target of 18. So I'm not going to discount any of them at the moment. We've dabbed at the second row and have a look. This has a target of 13. How can we do that? Well, there's a few ways we could do it, but there's also a few ways we definitely can't do it. For example, I can't see any way we could use that 9 to reach a target of 13. If we add the 9 and the 7, we've blown it. If we add the 9 and the 6, we're still at 15, we've blown it. 9 and 3 takes us to 12, but then we'd need another 1 to get to the 13, so that's not going to work either. So there's no way we can use that 9, so we can cross that out. We could use the 7 and the 6 to reach 13, or this 7 and the 6 to reach 13, but we can't use the 3, so cross that one out as well. Let's throw down the 7. Well, there's various ways we could do that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the other digits are the same, so we can't discount anything in there. This 7 row, when we have a 7, or we could do 4 and 3, but I don't think there's any way we can use the 5 or the 1, so we can cross those out. Now we're going to look at this row. At this point, I'm going to introduce you to our number cross calculator tool. Let's see what it looks like. And this tool allows us to input some of the numbers and see all the possible combinations that we can use to reach our target sum. Has some other features as well, which we'll look at in a moment. For the others, put in the numbers in this row. So again, our target is 15 and we're looking at this row here. And the numbers that are remaining at the moment are 9, 6, 4, 5, and another 4. And our sum, which we've been typing down there, is 15. Now we click go. This is going to give us all the possible combinations using those numbers. There's different ways we can reach our target. It also tells us if there are any impossible digits, so digits that we can cross out that cannot be used. In that case, they're all new at the moment. And it also very handily tells us required digits. So although we've got 3 different combinations, all of them include a 6. So 6 is what we call a required digit. We know it has to appear somewhere in the sum. So what we do in that case is we'll put a circle around 6 because we know that we're keeping that. We tell them what the other digits are going to be at the moment, but that's fine. We'll come back to that. Then I put the next one in as well. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to keep the 13 in this row. So I'm putting all the digits in the calculator. We've got 3 different combinations, and this is telling us that we cannot use the 5. So I'm going to cross that out. And it's also telling us that we're going to have to use the 3, the 1, and the 6. Well, we've got 3 trees on here, so we don't know which one of those is required. So we won't circle any of those, but we will circle the 1 and the 6 as required digits. Now, although some people consider using a calculator as cheating, obviously it's a personal choice, comes down to what you want to get out as a puzzle. If mental arithmetic is your thing, then, lose the calculator, recite and try doing it. Mental arithmetic is not my thing, but I do enjoy solving a number cross puzzle, so I don't mind using my calculator. It's clear that. With the law was a rows, so now we can start looking at the columns. We got 13 down here. Well, we've already crossed some of these out. How can we reach 13? Well, clearly we're going to have to use the 9, and we're going to have to use the 3s to get us to 12, and then it's going to be one of these ones. We don't know which one, but we know that the 9 and the 3 are required digits. Those are going to help us when we come back and look at these rows later. But for them, we're just concentrating on the columns. And then this column of 17, we've already got a 6 and a 1, so we've got 7 in our sum already. So we need 10, when it's going to be one of the 7s and the 3, and that's the only way to do it. Again, we don't know which 7, so we can't do anything about that. Oh, we can circle the 3 as a required digit. We know it's going to be involved in the sum somewhere. On our column here, looking for a 7, well, we could do a 6 and 1. We could do a couple of 3s and a 1. We have no help here at all, so we'll come back to that one. And we'll move on and look at this column, looking for 18 with a required digit of 6. Let's go back to the calculator because this required digit is 6. So let me show you another feature of the calculator. We're going to type in the digits that we know we can use, which is the 5, the 2, the 7, the 4, and the 6. And the 6 is a required digit. So if we check this box, we tell the calculator, you've got to use this in the sums. Put in our time period of routine. And in fact, it's telling us that there's only one possible combination, which is 5, 7, and 6. Yeah, we could have done this in our heads, but I'm lazy and I'm using the calculator. So we know we need the 5 and the 7. We've already got the 6. How we can cross out the other modulus. How we going to cross out later because we've completed that column. Let's move on to this column where we're looking to reach 13. Well, we could do 7, 3, and 3, 13. That 3 could be used in the sum as well. Don't think we can use the 5 in any way. 3, 3, 3, and 5 is going to give us 14, so that's no good. So we can cross out that 5. And the last column, the only one we haven't looked at so far is this. We're looking for 5. Well, there's no way of using the 4s or the 2. We have to stick with just the 5 at the top. So that is required. These can be crossed out. And we've completed that column, sorry. So now we can go back and look at the rest of the puzzle. And it'll work from the bottom up because the puzzle is more filled in at the bottom than it is at the top. So if we start here and look for 13, well, we have a 3, a 1, and a 6 as required digits. So we already got 10. We still need one of these 3s, and we still don't know which one it's going to be, so we can't do anything about that. This row, well, we've actually completed it because we have the 9 and the 6 already, and everything else is crossed out. So we can strike that one off. This is another easy one. We had it required 7, so we've reached our target. We can cross out the 3. That's done. This row, where we have a required 3, then we've got a couple of 1s and a 3 left. Clearly, we're going to have to use this 3, and we're going to use one of the 1s, but we don't know which one, so we'll have to come back and look at that in a moment. In our row looking for 13, it's going to be a 7 or the 6. We don't know which 7, but we do know we have to use the 6, so we'll mark that as a required digit. And in the case of our first row, 18, when we have 2 5s, that's required digits. So we've got 10. The only way to do that is to use the 7 and the 1. They're required digits. We can cross out the 3s and they've completed that row. Now that has allowed us to solve this column of 13. If you remember, we were looking to see which one of those ones we can use. Well, now we know it has to be that one because it's a required digit. So we can cross this one out, which means we've completed that column. And having done that, having crossed out this one, we now know that this one is the one we must use to reach this 7. So we can circle that and we've completed that row. And it looks like we've already completed this column into 17 because we have 7, 10, 17. So we can cross out that 7, which solves that column. And it also solves this row because now we have our 6 and our 7 to reach 13. 7, 7, that's done. We've already solved this column by the look of it. We got a 6 and a 1, so we've reached our target of 7, meaning we can cross out this 3, and that's completed. And here, in the last column yet to be completed, we have 10. We've only got one digit left, so it has to be that, and that's done. Which should mean that this is completed as well, because we have 3, 4, 10, and 13. So that's correct. Struck off all our rows and columns, and we completed the puzzle. The calculator was handy. Again, on a simple 1-star puzzle with such simple and easy additions, it's not really necessary. It's definitely much more convenient when you're working on bigger puzzles with much, much larger targets, up into the multiples of 10, and you can have larger numbers in the puzzle as well that go beyond 9. The regular arithmetic becomes increasingly complex, and as the puzzles get larger, obviously, it becomes more complex as well. The calculator can be a great help. There's a link in the description to get to our calculator. It's free to use. And because I covered other calculators on the site as well to help with things like Sudoku, Kakira, or Ken as it's sometimes known. So there you go, that's Number Cross. Good puzzle. If you like numbers, if you like adding up, it's a good one. And there's a bit of logic in there as well.
Hi, I'm Dora. Don't forget, you can get our Puzzle Weekly magazine delivered to you every Monday, completely free. Visit the link to get your copy.